So depending on the type of network vulnerability assessment we do an internal vulnerability assessment, we do an external vulnerability assessment. For the external vulnerability assessment, what we're going to do is we're going to look at your outward facing firewall or your IP addresses that are outward facing. And we run a scan against that. We try to see what ports are open on your firewall, if there's any issues that need to be remediated or vulnerabilities that are alert. Then we consider those to be high priority depending on what it is. So if you have an exposed RDP, remote desktop protocol, open to the internet, we're going to call you up and say, hey, you need to fix this immediately. We have seen too many of these vulnerabilities on external firewalls that have been exploited in the past. So we want to get that patched as soon as possible. Internal vulnerability assessment, we look for anything, well, the software looks for anything that it can identify as a critical or a high or a medium vulnerability based off of a CVSS, which is a standardized methodology for scoring vulnerabilities. So the higher the CVSS score is, the more critical it is. So the software actually does that for us. So we don't, that way it's not subjective. It's very objective on the software side that points out these are the vulnerabilities. And some of those vulnerabilities that will be considered critical would be an unsecured SSH or telnet sessions, or the use of an admin password or passwords that are the default that come out of the box, especially like on camera systems. So that would be a critical vulnerability. SMB, so that's file sharing from machine to machine. That's also considered to be a high vulnerability because those are fairly easy to exploit and take advantage of. So those are some examples of what we are looking for. The stuff that we find usually the most is going to be outdated software, outdated operating systems. And whenever we do an assessment, we always joke around with the IT staff in the beginning and we make bets kind of on how many Windows XP machines are we going to find. And so most of us know Windows XP has been outdated for many, many years now. And it's interesting because a lot of people say, nope, there's no XP machines on our network. And almost every single time we will find at least one. And that kind of gives us satisfaction that we're doing our job right because we found such an outdated machine. But so that the point being is Windows being outdated and Windows XP, Windows 7, soon enough it'll be Windows 10. SQL servers we find outdated all the time, Apache, Linux. So the most of the vulnerabilities that we find are just the outdated software that just needs to be upgraded and patched.